Hi folks, I'm Nate with Two Guys Ride, and today Rob and I are up here in Duluth, Minnesota, and we're at Motorhead Madness, and we're here with Jake.
Yes,
Jake,
sir.
thanks for spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, Rob came by this car because we're
Yep.
kind of on different sides of the floor today, and there's something that is just really unique about this one.
Well, thank you.
Before we get to that,
Okay.
tell us what we're looking at.
So it's a 62 Ford Falcon, just a two-door post car, nothing special about it.
Well,
got-
let's back up a minute. Okay, technically, frame-wise, body-wise, there's nothing special about it, right?
Yeah.
But it is a special car because this was your first car.
Yes. Yep. This was my first car. Dad bought it for me when I was 15 years old as a 16th birthday project and 16th birthday present that turned into a project all these years now. So
Now, back then, how much did you pay for the car?
$500.
Okay, and it been in an accident.
Before, yes. It
Before,
had been, yep,
right.
It had been in an accident and been fixed, but it needed work still. It was
Okay.
just a roller.
So you get this car at 15 or 16,
Yep.
and is it drivable right away?
Nope. The 144 that was in it needed a little bit of work.
Okay.
So we
144.
Yeah. Tiny little motor, huh?
In case you're wondering, folks, that's not the motor you're looking at right now.
Yeah. No, nowhere close. Yep, it was just the stock 144 was in it. Had the guy had tried to put a two barrel on it and it wasn't running right. It needed some work with the distributor, a few other things, and it had the Ford-O-Matic transmission in it, which was a little 3-speed air-cooled automatic transmission. They were a funny little transmission, and so we did all the work we needed to, and I drove it that way for about 2 months on the highway, flat on the floor, doing 80 miles an hour all the way to high school.
Really?
That's all she had in her. And one day going to school, it puked the head gasket on me. It just pulled up off the side of the road and big old cloud of white smoke. That's all she had left. So we trailered it on home, pulled that one out, and started trying to decide what we were going to do. We had a 302 on the stand. We're kind of hemming and hawing. Dad finally found a couple up in Oro Valley, Arizona, closer to where we lived back then in Tucson. And they had a 250 straight six that they had their own aluminum cylinder head on and a turbo, and I was immediately hooked. I had to have some sort of six-cylinder in the car since then.
So you just don't see this very often.
Not often.
Just very seldom to have a blower on top of a 6. Now, you say it sounds like an 8.
Yes. Yep. I've had people mistake this engine for a big block before.
And I wish we could start it, folks, but we are at a show and we can't fire it up right now. But, okay, so your dad is the one you worked with to do all the work on the car. So it's been a father-son project since you were 15.
Yep. That's what it's been for pretty much the entire time. There were a few years in there where I was working on my own because I had moved up here to Minnesota and Dad was still back in Arizona. And that was a learning curve for me.
Yeah.
But thankfully, with the advent of cell phones, I could just call him and go, "Hey, Dad, I need a little bit of help here." But hey, it's been a father-son project the entire time. Now that he's moved
sure
back
it was really
up here.
bummed. Yeah, I can't believe it. My son keeps calling me for help. I'm just going to put him on block. Yeah, it was like, no, excuse me, miss. My
That's
son.
one way. That's
I'll be
one
back
way to
in a
teach
minute.
him.
I know what that's like as a dad. That's
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
So, now, where did you get your mechanical skill? Did you go to school for it?
No, sir. Just all in the garage with Dad. We've been building trucks and race cars and all sorts of stuff since I was old enough to walk.
Was your dad a mechanic?
He was all self-taught. He worked,
that's what I'm wondering. All self-taught.
Yep.
Man, that is incredible.
Yeah, he worked on the monster trucks up here in Minnesota back in the day, doing with Barely Tame and Master of Disaster with Doug Spanier.
Okay.
He worked on those with them, learned a lot there, and had his own 79 F-150 that had everything but a second mortgage into, and just all sorts of stuff, and all self-taught. Neither of us have ever gone to school for anything mechanical.
But it's a love that you share.
Absolutely.
Obviously you do.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk some specifics about the engine.
Okay.
One of the things I just like, just from a viewpoint, is it looks beautiful, right? It's a work of art, and but obviously some things are homemade, right?
Oh yeah.
You got this frame up here that's holding the blower. Tell us about that.
That's just. It actually is cut out of just some flat steel and the uprights that hold it up are actually from the spare tire jack off of a 90s Ford that mounts under the hood. I had that laying around, and that's what I used as the round stock. I just cut it up and built it, braced it as best I could, and it holds the blower up there. That's what I built that to do. The intake on the backside was built by my buddies over at Hot Rod Ridge in Pillager, Minnesota. Actually,
Okay.
they had a metal brake and were able to bend it up. So I asked them for a favor, and they built that up for me. The top of the supercharger is just a piece of 3-inch mandrel, 3.5-inch mandrel bent tubing.
Okay.
That I, cut off. I used to work in a machine shop, so the top plate I put on the mill and hogged out the hole for it, welded it on there myself, and did all the rest of it. Yeah, it's a pretty wild setup for as far as the blower goes, and the serpentine belt system there is
talk to us about that.
Completely homemade, because these particular motors, the 250s, the aftermarket doesn't support them the way they do other engines.
Okay.
So the harmonic balancer is off of a 96 Ford 300 6-cylinder because it has the right crank snout dimensions.
Okay.
The water pump pulley is custom. The alternator pulley is custom. The idler pulleys are off of 90s Ford pickups. And the supercharger pulley is a quick change pulley from Modbox, which is a Canadian company. So I just take those 6 screws off the front, pop one pulley off, put a smaller pulley on, and go have even more fun.
That you say all that like, I mean, it just trips off your tongue like you're drinking water.
It doesn't seem like a lot to me because I'm the one that did it, but
right. But that's incredible. I mean, without having any technical training, all that stuff you do, and the knowledge that I'm sure you've learned a ton by doing it as well.
Absolutely.
Now, you painted part of the block.
Yep, the block is painted white. The cylinder head's painted silver.
I like it that you left the brake fluid container rusty.
Yeah,
that's
Dad doesn't. He's over there shaking his head now. He's like, he wished he could have gotten around to painting it, but
I like it.
Is what
I
it
would
is.
leave it. I'd spray it, preserve it, and leave it. But I just think it's a nice touch. I mean, it's fun to see something where you can. I mean, this is polished, right?
Yep.
There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But there's evident work of a hands-on.
Yep.
Intuitive minds working in building things together, and I love that. I don't think there's anything wrong with seeing that.
Well, thank you.
I think Van Gogh left brush marks in his paintings. Well, he didn't try to go smooth them out. I think it's nice to see your handprint.
Well, thank you.
On the engine. All right, let's talk about the interior a little bit.
Okay.
So, have you done anything? This cannot be the original cloth.
No, the seats had been reupholstered at one point, but quite a few years ago, long before I even had the car, they had been done, and the car was just kept nice. So
so you haven't had to do that. That
nope,
was already done.
I never had to do the seats, but the door panels have been redone. They're just black vinyl with the same stock line through them, but in orange stitching to match the car.
Okay.
So
and those you were able to pick up on an aftermarket
nope,
product?
those were made custom by a friend of my dad's back in Arizona. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. We found an interior shop, and Dad knew one of the guys that worked there, and we told him we needed door cards for it and a package tray, and they made those up for us.
That is awesome. Now, anything special on the interior? Tell us about the 4 gauges that you've got.
So I set them up on there in order of importance. So the first one is oil pressure. So that way I can make sure the engine, obviously. Then the tachometer, the water temperature gauge, and on the far right is my, of course now it's escaping me, air fuel ratio gauge.
Okay.
So, if the float sticks or something like that and I see it go dead lean, I can shut the car off right away because under boost with a lot of timing and it goes lean, they get hot and you start burning holes in pistons. And the pistons I've got in there are completely custom forged CP pistons, and they were a pretty penny.
Well,
so
I'm sure they were.
I'd like to keep them. Yeah, I'd like to keep them whole. So
tell us about the helmet.
So that's
it's actually a beautiful helmet.
It is. It is
Lovely color.
just a helmet I saw on the Dennis Kirk website.
Okay.
It was on clearance. I got it for 25 bucks. And then I went on Amazon and found the orange bubble shield to clip on the front. And
that's what I think I love the best.
Yeah.
Is the orange bubble shield.
It fits the look and the era
yes,
of
it
the
does.
car. It fits the whole look. That was why I did that. It just I've always thought the older stuff looks so much cooler. You know,
I love it.
So I saw that and just had to have it.
A statement. Let me say that.
Yep.
Let's walk to the back here.
Okay.
Now, in the very back here, did you change anything? Also, you painted the car, right?
Yes, the car from the factory. The car was that robin's egg blue.
Okay.
But the paint was real faded. The roof and the deck lid were starting to rust a little bit. She was looking rough.
Okay.
So my grandmother actually wanted to do something for the car for my 18th birthday, and so she said, well, she'd have it painted, and so we took it down to Mako.
Yep.
Just, you know, quick, cheap, get it to look good. It's just single stage orange, but yeah,
but it looks good.
It really does. I like to say the car's a 15-footer. You can get close and really pick it apart, but running down the road, nobody's going to know if she looks good.
Notice.
Exactly. Not many people. Not many people.
You know, I wonder if your dad would step in for a moment.
I'm sure he would.
Rick, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
What a story. I mean, you know, to gift the car at 15, was it 15 or 16, somewhere around there, but then to have that time building it with him.
Yep.
You know, as a father, you can't buy that time.
No, you can't.
Nor can you buy the memories. And that's incredible. And it's still going. I mean, almost 15 years later.
Yep.
Right? Close.
Yeah, getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. A couple years short, but we're getting there.
I don't do math in public, but you're close.
You're close,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you had no mechanic, I mean, all of your mechanic stuff was just self-taught.
For the most part, yeah. My dad worked road construction, so he was on the road a lot. And little things on the car when he was around, oil changes, stuff like that.
Yep.
I learned that at a young age.
Yep.
I've never been great at sports and sat the bench more than I played.
Right.
And at about 16, had enough of doing that, crawled under a truck and never came out. And from there I learned. And basically, yeah, I learned a lot all on my own.
I mean, the what you've done with this is not only unique, it's so well done.
Oh, well, thank
and
you.
obviously he has picked up a ton of knowledge from you.
Yep, I'm proud of him.
The way he spews that out, like, you know, pass the salt, please. It's like, whoa, we're back up in it. What did you just say? That is incredible.
He's been a good student, I have to admit.
Well, you know, it's such a great story. I love it anytime we see that story with the car. It's so fun to learn what's behind it. Yeah, there's a high horsepower, there's that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But it's that story and that connection.
Right.
You know, I can only imagine eventually down the road you have your own family.
I hope so.
You're hoping you have a kid that wants to do this too.
Yes, sir.
You know, and that's going to pass down. But what a neat story.
Well, thank you.
So, you know, on behalf of fathers, thank you, Rick.
You're welcome. I appreciate that very much.
Now, let's switch the mic back here.
All right.
Get out of here. You're breaking the camera.
It survived him. You're okay.
I think you got your looks from your mother.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now one thing I never asked you when we were up front with the motor was horsepower. So it's a 6 with a blower.
Yep.
What do you turn out for horsepower?
The horsepower should be in the neighborhood of about 300 to 350 horsepower, but being a 6-cylinder, they make a lot more torque than they do horsepower. The torque number should be in the neighborhood of about 500.
Wow. Woo.
450 to 500 is the number.
Get up and go, pull a house.
Oh yeah. She'll move anything you put behind it. That's for dang sure.
Now, what is one of your favorite memories with this car?
That big old picture right down there on your left. That was last year at Power Cruise over at BIR.
Yep.
That was the first year the car really came out and did something at the burnout competition. And I've been shredding tires ever since the car would make enough power to turn them.
Right.
But I got up here and found that Event Power Cruise. Been going there ever since I moved up here, so 7 years now.
Okay.
And I've done the burnout competition multiple times, and everybody always told me, well, you got to put a V8 in it if you want to compete. And that's been a pet peeve of mine forever, is the first question everybody asks me at any car show, any event I go to, so when are you going to put a V8 in it? And it has just made me go the opposite direction ever since. And last year, I had the supercharger on it finally. The car ran beautifully for the practice, and I had a lot of the big dogs coming up to me and going, now I know why you do that. And that was the best thing for me, was getting the recognition from those guys saying, okay, you know what you're doing, now I get it.
Now I get it.
Now I get it. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
Now, future plans for the car.
The future plan, hopefully this year I'm looking to win the competition. Last year I did darn good, but I didn't win. I got 4th place, just off the podium.
That's still good though.
Well, out of a 21 car field, to have a little 6-cylinder get that high, competing against turbo V8s,
that's what I mean.
Turbo LSs, blown LSs, diesel pickups, everything that makes way more power than this, to get that high was something. The goal is to win this year. That's what we're going for. And after that, I want my driver back. It doesn't have great street manners anymore. She's just, I can drive it, and I love driving it rowdy on the streets, but it gets to be a pain in the neck some days. And I want to be able to just jump in it and go. So the supercharger is going to come back off. The 5-speed is going to go back in, and it's just going to be a round town driver is all I plan on doing with it.
Well, you know, I don't blame you. This has been a car full of memories, right?
Absolutely.
You wouldn't want to just get rid of it or say, well, this is all I can use it for. So I can't drive it very much. You know, you want to be able to use it.
Exactly. So that's the plan, is to be able to use the car.
Well, what a wonderful story, and I love that connection with your dad.
No.
You know, Jake, thanks so much for spending your time with us today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys showing the car some attention.
Well, it deserves attention. Built like that.
Well, thank you.
Are you kidding me?
Well,
and best of luck at the burnouts.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. And thanks for watching.